Hello guys, today we're going to talk about transportation in plants. A major structure in transportation is vascular bundle. In plant transportation of food, water, minerals, even waste materials takes place through special tissues called vascular bundles or vascular tissue. That light blue color part is xylem, and here we have phloems, and phloems. So vascular tissues are there. And how about tissue? How about the term of tissue? Remember, tissue is a group of cells which performs a specialized function. Vascular tissue is of two types called xylem. That's that blue, in blue color parts is xylem, and also phloems, as we already mentioned here. Phloems are here between each rays of this star or of this X shape of structure. And if we talk about their functions, the xylem, that blue structure, is in charge of transportation of water and mineral salts from the root, of course, that will be able to absorb the soil from the soil to the all parts of the plant. And the functions of the phloem is responsible of distribution of all the food materials to the every single corner of the plant. And let me ask you something. What is the name of the process that plants manufacture their own food? And number two, and which organ is responsible or in charge on that process? You can pause the video and try to answer that question for a minute. And internal structure of a root. Now we are going to analyze some important structure on the root shortly. Number one is piliferous layer. Piliferous layer, as you can see, piliferous layer. This is for young plant. This is spatial epidermis of young roots whose cells gives rise to root hairs, as you can see there. And the cells are thin-walled to allow passage of water and mineral salts. As the root tissues mature, a less permeable surprised epidermis replaces the piliferous layer. All right. Number two, second internal structure of a root is root cap. It covers the apex of the root. It consists of simple parenchyma cells that protects the growing parts, also known as apical meristem or root meristem or meristem, the zone of meristematic activities of the root tip. It provides protection as it's pushed past soil particles that it's going to face there. And another thing is cells of root cap are relatively impermeable of water and solutes. And remember, aquatic plants lack root caps. Number three is epidermis, or outermost layer of cell that protects the inner tissue. Actually, this piliferous layer is going to be called as epidermis for mature plants. And the layer is 1 cell thick. To remember, also we mentioned similar things earlier. 1 cell thick to reduce the distance so that diffusion and osmosis process will go through easily. And so that water and mineral salts it can manage to penetrate through it. And here is the good thing that some special cells are modified to form root hairs from the epidermis. And number 4, the outer structure Number 4, the other structure is cortex. This tissue found between epidermis and endodermis. Epidermis and endodermis. So that part is going to be called as cortex. As you can see, these 2 layers, this one epidermis and this one epidermis and this one endodermis, so which surround endodermis actually, which is surround the vascular bundles, and later on it's going to help on the root pressure. It's going to help on the root pressure. It's going to create the root pressure for the plant. Anyway, cortex is made up of loosely packed and thin-walled parenchymal cells. All right. Number 5. And now let's talk about endodermis. Endodermis. It's a layer of surrounding the vascular bundles. As you can see, here is our vascular bundles. This is xylem, that X shape, and the phloems are there. Phloems are there, and the between them there cambium. So the endodermis surrounds the vascular bundle. Endodermis it generally has, once you look at the cells carefully, you will see that their cells are like rectangular shapes. And they are famous for its starch grains. They also have starch grains on the cell. They have starch grains, and actually also they have so many mitochondria, and these starch grains are going to be used to release energy later on. And you should immediately remember that if we mention energy, the organelle of mitochondria also must be there. Mitochondria must be there, it's positioned there. Even so many of them, because remember the muscle cell, they also about energy, so they consist so many mitochondria organelles. Another good thing is root pressure. Remember we mentioned earlier, root pressure is to develop within the endodermis. And because active transport of ion is going to take place there, and this is going to lead a kind of suction action of water molecules, even the peak point of the latest tree. Last thing, it looks like a strip, isn't it? It looks like a strip. Look at that picture. Look at that picture. This is endodermis layer, and there is a thickness in the middle of the cell. This is actually a special kind of cell wall. Special kind of a cell wall, and radial axis, on the radial axis there is a thickness, there is like bands, there is like a strip on the cells, on the endodermis cells. So this is also going to be called as Casparian strip. And the function of this Casparian strip is to control the amount of water and mineral salts entering into the vascular bundles. Oh, all right. And the next layer is pericycle. Pericycle is actually exactly after the endodermis, there is another layer of cells. So this is the second layer. It's called pericycle, which is the internal meristem and the part of the root involved in the growth of lateral roots. This is the part of the root involved in the growth of lateral roots. And vascular bundle, xylem and phloem. And the center of the root houses the vascular bundle. This is the center of the root. This is the center of the root, as you can see. And it houses the vascular bundle. Xylems are there, phloems are there, cambium is there. And they are separated from one another by a special formation of vascular bundle, the between the phloem and xylem is filled, occupied with the cambium, and the xylem in charge of transportation of water and mineral salts, and phloem transport dissolved food substance such as sugar from the leaf to the rest of the plants. And finally, let's comparize the dicot root and monocot root. As you can see, xylem occupies the center. Xylem occupies the center. So there is no pith. There is no pith, but xylem. Once we check the monocot root, as you can see, there is a pith here. This center is housed by the pith. And xylem and phloems are alternate around the pith, just like a sunflower. But here, as you can see, like X shape or star shape is actually occupies also space, and this is the xylem itself. And we also have phloem. We also have phloem here. Phloems are between the each rays of xylems. But here we said they alternate. They alternate just like that. Just like sunflower, isn't it? Okay, that's it. All the best. Good luck.